Yes, I set up. I thought you were busy, so I thought I'd watch
Oh
you.
my goodness, should have kept me up to date with what you're doing.
Ah, well, I enjoy your playing.
It's not playing, I was just noodling.
Doodling.
Doodling, as they say.
Well, you do some capoeira moves, capoeira type
It
moves.
come from that. Okay. Well, here we are on a beautifully sunny day. The rain has gone for the moment. And I'm back to reading columns that I wrote for the African Times newspaper in the years 1996, 1998. The publisher was a man named Charles Ansham. Good brother. We had our differences of opinion, but not about the writing. I said early on that he was one of these people who simply wanted you to get it in on time and have it about something that was, well, of a consequence. And I came up with various subjects which he approved of. Here's to you, Charles Ansham.
Yes, Charles Ansham.
This particular column is about something I call a journalistic apartheid and the present day connection to it might be something that happened in a similar way to what happened when the American news media began to do. I'm saying this carefully because I don't want anyone to misunderstand. Yes, of course, Israel has a right to defend itself. I think all countries do. But what happened after 1,200 people had been slaughtered by Hamas in Israel, the Likud government of Benjamin Netanyahu went blood wild and began to destroy the Gaza Strip. And people who don't use words like genocide lightly have said after 25,000 people had been killed, most of them innocent, most of them, many of them children, that, hey, wait a minute, what did this have to do with Hamas slaughtering 1,200 Israelis? Well, the Israeli Knesset and some of the right-wing members said, this is a good time for us to get rid of the Palestinians. So pushing the pieces around to how the journals of America and other places captured the scene was that they immediately took the Israeli side, and the Palestinians were not heard of very much until the graphics began to come out, the optics, which showed Palestinian babies being blown apart. Well, what did they have to do with Hamas? And finally, I believe what happened is that there was some very fair-minded Jewish organizations in America that said, wait a minute, we believe Israel has a chance to defend itself, but that doesn't mean that you have to defend yourself by blowing babies up in defenseless neighborhoods and so forth and so on. I'll leave it at Rafah because we don't know what's going to happen to that after the fleeing Palestinians. That may have included Hamas too. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not there. But after having told people, run from the north to the south and you'll be safe, and then they run to the south and they promise that they're going to destroy them in the south. But where do they go? I mean, if that ain't genocide, I don't know what is. You corner people like rats, and then you spring the trap on them. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of Jewish repentance in the days and years to come. Let's see what history has to say. Anyway, this is basically what this article is about, this column is about. I'm
That
calling
that was written in.
Zola Salena, what did you say, baby?
I'm saying, what year was this
This
article
was the
written?
year 1999,
So history repeats.
in August of the year.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I call it Journalistic Apartheid. I first began to take serious notice of journalistic apartheid, especially print, during the gruesome apartheid regime and pre-ANC South Africa. That's the African National Congress that Mandela was head of. 99% of what we read, or what about what was going to. Oh, let me turn my phone off. Not now. I'll call you back. I'll call you back. 99% of what we read about what was going on in that tortured place was written, supplied by a small collection of nice-minded white boys. So far as I know, there were no stories published by any major league newspaper that glorified the horrors of apartheid. The basic problem of always getting Mr. Kraft's spin on the game was that it was always Mr. Kraft's spin. In parentheses. Mr. Kraft is the name of one of the correspondents who used to do pieces about South Africa. His usually reasonable, liberal, and correct material was there, but it lacked passion. It was a bit like reading a prosy stock market report. Mr. Kraft, as an example, told us what the market did, was doing, and might do, but there was no personal fire in his guts. And that's what many of us desperately wanted to relate to that struggle. No one would want to suggest that he didn't do a good job. The problem stemmed from his outside looking at the inside perspective. Of course, the point can be easily made that an African American reporter might have viewed matters from a similar perspective. Perhaps that might be true, but I can't think so, not unless we were saddled with a journalistic version of Clarence Thomas or Ward Boy Conley. It's all moot at this stage of the game, in any case, but I would still go out on a limb and cop a plea for the blood. Cop a plea for the blood. What would the African American spin be? Well, certainly an African American writer with a modicum of what the black experience in America was like during the Euro-American apartheid era, you know, segregation and all the rest of that, would certainly have offered sentiments that no white writer could ever serve up. The same deal might hold true for a Chinese American writer, an Italian American, a French American, whatever. This is not to suggest that talented people shouldn't write about what they want to write about, whatever, or to be restricted to only writing about stuff within their racial circle, harking back to apartheid again. How often we yearn to read a face on the dry account of how an ANC militant was forced to swallow his pride in order to survive to fight another day. Many of the details coming to light under the glare of Bishop Tutu's Reconciliation Committee should have been revealed back then. They were common knowledge that the South African secret police were taking black women's breasts and slamming them in drawers they were common knowledge. Under the mantle of journalistic apartheid, the writer didn't want to offend the sensitivities of those who were cautioning for benign neglect. Fast forwarding to now, I suspect that protected coloration, a hair trigger writing style, and enormous guts would tell us much more about what was happening in Nigeria, the Congo under Kabila, Gabon, Tunisia, Australia, and a few other places where African blood is an important but untranslatable issue. And while we're about it, why not pull up a few African-American restaurant reviewers? Yeah. Some of us just love Northern Italian, Thai, Greek, Vietnamese, Ethiopian food. And a vital necessity, a collection of television movie reviewers. Much as we all love Howard Rosenberg, it would still be a boot for many young and not so young moviegoers to read a review that came from someone who shared their psychological frame of reference. And while we're at it, let's truck in a whole bunch of music review dudes. Hey, and dudesses. Dudes and dudesses. How about that? I don't think I've ever read a review of a classical performance, and very, very few reviews by African Americans of our own classical music that was nicknamed jazz. No doubt in anybody's head, by this time, journalistic apartheid should be declared dead. How long should we have to use the damn dompas, as they say in South Africa during apartheid? Do I have to carry the dompas? They had a pass that they had to use to go from city to city, an internal passport. As events in Africa, specifically Nigeria, develop, we should be thinking of a more diverse, balanced view of the situation that will be developing there. It is not a job that should be limited to the usual suspects. Memba. I'm coming. You say a word or two.
Well said. Diversity counts, and success and happiness and so many blessings come out of diverse environments and exchange of cultures. And if you limit it, it's to your own detriment. Okay, your website is www.
Can I add to that before you
Yes.
get? One of the things that's happening right now, because I'm a writer with, I guess, 30-some books in print, I'm always amused and a little bit dismayed and sometimes pissed off by the fact that I can write about anything I want to write about concerning outer space beings and situations that have nothing to do specifically with race. I can't say that about America, because everything any black writer writes about America is always considered protest or
Racial. It has to have a racial content.
It needs to be put on the black shelf.
Yes.
I would like to see that change. I'd like to see works about subject matters that have nothing to do with race. Once again, that'd be very difficult to pull off in America, because everything has to do with race, somehow or other, when you get down to it. But it would be interesting to see where my works would be put if they were placed on a shelf labeled excellent writing or superb journalism.
Okay.
But that will take place at another day, on another day, at another time. Meanwhile, I'd like to say to you,
yes, well, your website is
Happy New Year.
Happy Chinese New Year.
Happy Chinese New Year. I think the word is Gong He Fat Choi.
Yes.
I hope I'm saying that right.
Yes. Yes.
Gong He Fat Choi.
See.
And
Very good.
it
This at www.odiehawkins.com.